So one of the reasons why I moved my declaration questions at the very beginning of the conversation is because if this person co-signed for a house that went into a short sale, there's no need to be talking about a conventional loan, right? I'm already switching up and figuring out, okay, so FHA is going to be the topic of the conversation,
right? Because
then that will be a complete time burn.
Gotcha.
But also at the same time, you're finding out solar panels exist, if other liens are on the home, judgments, right? Lawsuits, or what have you, and you're getting a good idea of their FICO score, but you're immediately finding pain points. And the reason why open-ended questions like, besides the mortgage, what other debts do you have with credit cards, is because it becomes a funnel question or a bridge question to sensitive topics that be very hard to ask them, such as like, how much do you average in checking and savings? It's a very personal question, right? And then they get on defensive. But if you start with how much in debt, let's start with credit cards. I got about 20 grand. How much do you send? Oh, I send about $200. Is that the minimum or above? Oh, it's about the minimum. Okay, where else does your cash flow go to? What other debts? Oh, I got student loans, kids, hobbies, daycare, right? Say, oh, that's a lot, right? But you're noting all this down. Because you're going to recap it at the beginning of the pitch call. And say, okay, so at the end of everything, Chris, we have what's called a net. So net is basically your net income, net all of your expenses, the daycare, the electricity, the groceries. How much is your net income? And they're always going to give you a high figure. They say my net income is probably about 1,000. Got it. So how much of that 1,000 are you actually putting in the bank for a rainy day? And then of course they'll say another high figure. Oh, I put at least $800. Okay, cool. So how much do you average in checking and savings? See, now I'm allowed to ask that question. See, and that's one of the most sensitive questions that gives you most leverage. Because when they say, oh, I only have $500 when everything is said and done. But note, they just said they added $800 every month. Does that make sense? So you're able to kind of filter and peel back the layers of the onion to find out where the pain is. And say, okay, so because you only have about $500 in the bank, this is the reason why the credit card balances are high, I would imagine. They say, yeah. Say, okay, well, here's the thing is that if you're paying the minimum on $20,000 in credit card debt, you can only imagine how long it's going to take you to pay off. Not to mention the fact that that interest is compounding. It's not even tax deductible. So I can only imagine what this has done on your credit score. When was the last time you looked at your credit? Oh, I looked at it about 2 weeks ago. Okay, what was the reason? Oh, I applied for a mortgage. Now I've got signs, So what happened? How come you didn't get it done then? Oh, I got declined. Now I'm saving myself time. Or they say, I'm in the process, we're thinking about it. Now it gives me more leverage, It's like, okay, well, what's the reason? What's your hesitation? Oh, I didn't like the price. Now I know that the price is something that they're going to be a stickler for. Perhaps maybe for the second call. It's a way to kind of expose their belief system and also their flaws at the same time. But the pain points is really the nuts and bolts of the conversation. It's not necessarily about us and how we present it and how we sound. We got to shift the focus away from being kind of buttoned up and proper, even though we'll naturally do that. But when we try too hard to be buttoned up and proper, we'll kind of convey that we're selling.
Connected to SalesRemastered.